Hey everybody, Meteorologist Mike Slifer here in the First Alert Forecast Center, and well, we're talking about some snow outside. So we wanted to give you a little update on what's happening out there. A little special edition First Alert Weather Extra here on this Saturday evening. So if you've been following along with our coverage, you'll know that we've been expecting this snow. We've been giving you the first alert all day long, all week long, I should say, and all day long too. Right now, winter weather advisories are in effect for southern Connecticut. These go until 1 o'clock tomorrow. And we'll show you what's happening live right now. Let's start off with a look at First Alert Live Radar because, well, this kind of tells the story of what's actually happening. So you'll note that we had some radar returns across the state, favoring especially southeastern Connecticut. A lot of this struggled to reach the ground, given that there is still some drier air in place. We can zoom in a little bit and talk about a few spots specifically. So let's take the Connecticut-centric view here, and let's begin with a look at, say, northern New London County, where we had that swath of snow earlier. This is a loop over the last 30 minutes. So from Montville to Norwich to Lisbon to Voluntown is where we had some of that, where you can really see where those flakes tried to move through. So again, it's going to take a little while for the air to actually saturate to let these flakes reach the ground, but certainly it is heading in that direction. We will get there eventually. We'll take you to northwestern Connecticut here too, across Litchfield County, where we had a similar site where some of these radar returns around 9:15 or so were popping up, but all of that has since evaporated, moved on out. But if you take a look at what's happening west of us now, we can actually zoom out a bit here and talk a bit more about what's happening in the lower Hudson Valley. So some of these radar returns that we see are rather intriguing. So if you take a look here in the circled area here, it's not really a great circle, but you get the idea. These are the snow showers that are reaching the ground and are headed into Connecticut. And we'll see them make their way in here within the next, say, hour or so. By the time you join us for WFSB Eyewitness News at 11, we will be tracking flakes within more of Connecticut. So again, this is a loop over the last 30 minutes, and we can even zoom out a little bit farther and take a look at what's happening outside of Connecticut, specifically over the downstate New York area through the New York City metro area, I should say, over to Long Island, because that's what's headed in our direction. So it gives an idea of how these snow showers are moving. Take a look at Long Island specifically. We see some of these deeper blues, especially out east and closer to, say, Montauk. That's where some more moderate snow is forming. And we have heard some reports of snow actually reaching the ground throughout Manhattan, throughout New York City, and into parts of northern Jersey, say from Yonkers, New York, and to Fort Lee, New Jersey, to Elizabeth. So there is certainly some snow reaching the ground now. In other words, the air saturated relatively quickly. We are next on the list for that. So we'll take this back to a Connecticut-centric view and talk a bit more about the actual forecast from here on out. So we'll take you over to First Alert Futurecast and show you how this progresses here over the next, say, 12 or so hours. So by 11 o'clock at night, the snow showers are really filling in southern Connecticut and the western half of the state. It does not take too long for the rest of Connecticut to see this steady snow develop. Some of the changes since we spoke last night, since you saw Jill this morning, there are signals that perhaps the snow, especially along the immediate shoreline, will actually be coming down at a bit of a moderate pace. So could be a little bit heavier compared to what we were expecting last night. And of course, that implies maybe some higher totals too. 6 o'clock in the morning, it is still snowing. By 9 o'clock, things are winding down. It's not until we get past 9 a.m. where we really start to see this shut off. And the wind will pick up tomorrow. We turn breezy tomorrow too. So when it comes to the actual change to our snowfall forecast map, if you didn't see it earlier on social media, here's what it looks like now. 1 to 2 inches northwest of 84 and into northern sections of Windham County. So yesterday we were saying 1 to 3 inches statewide, and really our thinking on that hasn't changed much. We just have a bit more confidence in where the relatively higher and lower amounts will be. And this one looks like it's going to be a little bit higher south and east of I-84. So this is going to include basically all of Fairfield, New Haven, Middlesex, and New London counties. This does include parts of the greater Hartford area up to, we'll say, Wethersfield and perhaps even within Hartford itself. This does include Waterbury. This also includes Hebron, and this will include Willimantic, and this includes Plainfield. So a lot of Connecticut, most of the state getting its first measurable snow of the season. We have seen snow in western Hartford County, say from Bristol to Heartland, and then points west throughout Litchfield County. So this is going to be the first snow for most of the state. Very light, very fluffy, which is great for actually having to move it. Now, this only tells part of the story because as we get past the day tomorrow, colder air is certainly going to settle in. And that's going to become part of the focus here moving forward, is the fact that Monday is also a first alert weather day. So here's where the wind chill values will be dipping to tomorrow. We're expecting wind chill values to fall as the day goes on, and that's because the wind will be intensifying as the day goes on. So by the time we reach, say, 2 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon, 15 to 20, by 8 o'clock in the evening, it's going to feel like it's already in the single digits. And those numbers go even lower as we go through the night and into Monday morning especially. So we'll fast forward through the timeline here to Monday morning at 7 a.m., feeling like it's near zero. So we'll say from 5 below to 5 above. So the coldest air is Monday. Monday is also a first alert weather day. I'm going to leave this graphic up just so you can sort of soak this in, what it'll feel like when you step out the door on Monday. Certainly a little bit of a shock to the system, a little dose of reality, if you will. And we are going to keep things cold throughout the day on Monday. High temperatures Monday, we're talking 25 to 30. 30 is probably not even going to quite pan out, even along the shoreline. And it will be windy on Monday with wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour. So just be prepared for things to be quite cold outside as we kick off the new week. But let's get back to the snow, what's happening outside right now, and where things are going to go from here. Snow has certainly been the top of mind for everybody today. Here's our storm system. It's really starting to take shape. You'll note the radar filling in over parts of eastern Pennsylvania through Philly into central New Jersey and along Long Island, especially Long Island's South Shore. So as this storm system starts to intensify, we will eventually see the snow stream in. And look at how much snow is still falling in parts of Ohio and western Pennsylvania, from Wheeling, West Virginia south, almost to the I-79 corridor. Certainly a lot of snow to look at here, and that's all headed in our direction. As a reminder, we may miss out on the heaviest. It actually looks like the heaviest snow could be through parts of central Jersey into parts of eastern Pennsylvania. We are still expecting about 2 to 4 inches for most of Connecticut, and shoreline towns are the most likely to actually get to 4 inches. Light, fluffy, pretty easy to move. Yes, you'll need a snow shovel. You might be able to get away with a leaf blower in some of these communities, but either way, the travel impacts will be greatest starting later tonight, but especially into the pre-dawn hours tomorrow. So if you are somebody who gets up early on Sundays and heads to any type of church services, if you're out early on Sunday to try to beat the rush at the grocery store, just know that it is going to be a bit slick on some of those roads, those untreated surfaces, and be ready for cleaning off the windshield and things like that. We certainly recommend, of course, keeping those coats and layers nearby because it's going to feel even colder as the day progresses. Let's talk a little bit about our snow so far this season and break down kind of what we're thinking, where we go from here. So we've seen 2.7 inches of snow for the Hartford area, Trace and Bridgeport. Both locations are running a bit of a snowfall deficit for the season so far. We do expect that deficit to be perhaps entirely erased by tomorrow morning. So when you join Jill Gilardi, be sure to check in to see how things fared when it comes to the actual specific numbers. But the Hartford area may be tough to knock that out. We'd have to get close to 3 inches at Bradley. It seems unlikely since we're thinking more like 1 to 2. But in Bridgeport, we could even end up with a slight surplus. If Bridgeport ends up with 4 inches of snow officially, we'll have a surplus a little over an inch. And if you like winter, if you're a fan of the snow, of the cold days, you might be a fan of that too. Let's take you live right now to Mystic, where we had some reports of flurries. Not much going on right now. It is pretty clear that the sky is still overcast, which is what, of course, we expect, right? Cloudy skies, that's what leads to those snow showers. And let's take you live right now to our iCam view in New London, too. 36 degrees currently. We can continue our iCam tour here. We'll go to Hartford next. 35 degrees, wind out of the southwest at 5 miles an hour. Nothing coming down in Hartford just yet. We'll take you live to New Haven, where it's still 40 degrees. And we are going to go through the temperatures here in just a moment to talk about. You know what we can do? We can go through the temperatures right now. So this is where we sit currently. Upper 20s throughout northwestern Connecticut. Waterbury's 30, while New Haven is 40. 31 in Windsor Locks, 33 in Meriden, 33 in Willimantic. But here's the thing. We have some dry air in place, as we mentioned. As these snowflakes, the first snowflakes fall, they will sublimate or perhaps evaporate. So essentially, they're going to go from that solid state as a snowflake into water vapor. That's sublimation, going from the solid phase to the gas phase, and that requires energy. Just like melting the snowflakes into raindrops would require energy, and that's going to help to bring the temperature down a bit, closer to the dew point. Dew points will likely rise a bit as more moisture enters the air. As a reminder, the dew point is a measure of how much water vapor you have in the air. The higher the dew point, the more moisture content there is. But either way, we will see the temperatures fall down a bit because that entire process takes energy, heat energy. So temperatures will likely end up below freezing, basically statewide, within the next few hours. We can show you sort of how the temperatures will trend just to get an idea of how this is all going to work. So you'll note that the temperature trend for the rest of the night is downward, and those snowflake icons start popping up around midnight. That's when we are expecting snow, again, pretty much statewide at that point in time. Wind right now is currently out of the southwest. Typically, this is, of course, a milder wind direction for us. But as that storm system starts to gain a little bit of strength here, wind around low pressure moves in a counterclockwise manner. So what that's going to do is eventually help to shift our wind direction to pull some colder air back into Connecticut. We also have a cold front that's nearby, and that's sort of complicating things, muddying the waters, if you will. And that's why we're still dealing with in a not ideal wind direction if you love snow. Maybe it's a good wind direction if you want to see things stay a little bit milder. But either way, the temperatures will drop, and eventually we will see the snow move in. We'll bring you back to First Alert Live Radar so you can see how quickly things are changing. As we mentioned earlier, there wasn't too much to track, but now from Salisbury and Lakeville through Canaan and North Canaan to Norfolk, all the way almost to Colebrook at this point in time, we do have some snow showers popping up. Those go down into Sharon along Route 7, along 44. We also are starting to see more in the way of snow shower activity through Greenwich and Stamford, moving into Darien, Norwalk. And not only that, but what's perhaps a little more interesting is this little radar signature that's popping up over Marlborough. We'll take you there. This basically stretches through southern Tolland County, so Hebron, Columbia, all the way over to Windham and Willimantic. So there's a chance, that some of these flakes are reaching the ground right now, and this certainly helps to get the ground, or rather get the air saturated to allow the rest of the flakes to reach the ground. So snow will be starting up here, and within the next hour or so, and that's about what we expect, is that we would see the snow begin around 10 o'clock tonight and go through about 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So it's really that 12-hour time period where we will see most of the snow and see the greatest impact, both to travel and what it actually feels like outside. So we're going to wrap this First Alert Weather Extra up. We will be on air on Channel 3 at 11. You can join Jill Gilardi throughout the course of the morning tomorrow. And, of course, you can track the snow right from the palm of your hand with the free First Alert Weather app. We hope that you will join us coming up in just over an hour on Channel 3 as we talk about how the radar has filled in more by that point in time. And hopefully we'll even have some iCams that we can show you where the flakes are flying. Stay safe. Enjoy the snow. Not a huge impact here. 2 to 4 inches most of the state. 1 to 2 inches in the northwestern part of our state. And otherwise, we look ahead to that bitter cold on Monday. And eventually, we will see things trend a little bit milder next week. But we'll talk more about that on Eyewitness News at 11. See you then.